Well, you heard it all from Rivers State, and we're looking at the outcome this morning. Joining us to look at the Rivers election outcome, the rerun election in that state is Mr. Adetokunbo Adedeji. He's of the Professional for Change. Good morning, and good to have you join us.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here.
You're looking good.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, I think from the last time we had you on the program, a whole lot has happened, and we had also talked about the economy and a couple of other things. And we also highlighted the essence and the importance of us changing our attitude towards so many things. But today we're looking at elections and how best we can describe what has been happening. But today in focus is the Rivers rerun, and I'm quite sure you've been following the trend in that state.
A little bit, yes.
Looking at what has happened, we thought it was never going to be finally the elections held, and if you look at the front pages and even on China's television, so many news, very ugly news that we've heard from that election. What really comes to mind? Let's talk about the preparations for elections to start with.
Well, to a very large extent, I'm not too surprised about what is happening in Rivers, because if you cast your mind back, the militarization of the people's psyche in Rivers had been an ongoing thing in the last 5-6 years, and to the extent that every little opportunity for people to show power and show force and be able to claim some level of supremacy, they take advantage of that. And that there is violence there today is expected. What I'm worried about is the state of preparedness of the security agencies. There are so many reasons why they need to anticipate what has happened. First and foremost, that is the region where you have people who are protesting, and they're using military power to be able to disturb the flow of governance in that region. And they have succeeded some in ensuring that they affect the economy of Nigeria with the level of violence that has gone on there. Explosions, bombing of pipelines and things like that. So the psyche of the people in that region has been heightened to the area where every little opportunity that affects the public, they take advantage of, and you will see this level of violence.
I'm going to ask you, to expatiate a bit more what you meant by militarization of the psyche. But before you do that, I think it's important to note that the governor of the state says very rarely, if at all, have they recorded any bombings of pipelines in their region. Let me just put that out there, that's what he says. Even though yes, we have bombings around River State, yes, and neighboring states and other places, where he says that they've been able to successfully do that. What did you mean by militarization of the psyche?
Good. You see, where you have a society where people wake up on a daily basis to show a force, it tends to impact on the mindset of the people that everything happens around us is conditioned by force. That's what militarization of the psyche is all about. And to the extent that people in that area have witnessed all different sorts of crimes, kidnapping, election violence, bombing of pipelines, even if BK is denying it, it does happen in that area. If you say it's around them, a number of people move from one border to the other to cause this kind of mayhem. So it's to the extent that that has been happening over time that the psyche of the people there has been impacted. And once you have that kind of mindset, to see violence erupt in that environment is not anything that would be surprising. what I'm a lot more surprised about is the level at which the security network had worked to be able to at least dampen the level at which that violence. I mean, I'm too disappointed in the fact that police officers get beheaded, all because of what? Local election rerun. It tells you there isn't enough and there is no adequate security preparedness in that area, because it should have been anticipated. More preparations should have been done.
You know, perhaps let's look at understanding of elections, because in other places elections hold, and some people also would say they record little or no violence. But let's look at this, because every time there's a call for election leading up to what we finally saw yesterday, is either there's one form of violence or the other. And we also recall that before then we had also witnessed some form of court activities or killings, which was you know, said to be from courtists. And we also saw the, you know, renunciation ceremony of some of these courtists, and some of them actually, you know, dropping down their weapons. What we have just seen again on Saturday doesn't really give this kind of meaning, as if the secret agencies and those who were committee members of that anti-court group have worked pretty well.
That's exactly what I'm saying. A lot more work needs to be done. You see, when you know that a society is prone to violence, there is supposed to be a level of preparedness by the security network. First, you know which cells are likely to promote these problems. You tag them.
So they should know.
They should know. That's part of the intelligence network they are supposed to have. You tag them. Once you tag them, you monitor them. And you are able to predict what is likely to happen. And to the extent that in the kind of election that they had over these last few days, it should be expected there will be violence. The government at the center is APC. The government in Rivers is PDP. So the federal power, the local power of the PDP is what you're seeing clash. And once that happens, you should expect that there will be this level of violence.
Well, you talked about, you know, the security agencies preparing and, you know, tagging, you know, making some preparations, as it were. But then when you think of the fact that there is a distrust, because you just talked about the federal government, you know, at the center being APC, and you know, the local, the governor is PDP. And that there will be expectedly a clash. There's always that huge distrust of security agencies when it comes to, you know, conducting elections in a state perceived as opposition or seen as opposition. How do you think that security agencies can manage that?
Well, to the extent that the security agencies are not APC or PDP.
Have we seen that?
Yeah.
We have.
Yeah.
So everything is within the secret agencies. I think that's where we'll continue when we come back, because we have to go on a quick one now. When we return, we'll look at the secret agencies and see how much of partisanship that some of them have. That's after now.